Just to confirm, we should now be live. Just waiting for confirmation that we are live.
Yeah. Kelly, it is streaming. Mike's in my office watching it on the YouTube.
Okay. Is it working? Okay, perfect.
Okay,
Yeah.
Chair, if we are live, then we can commence the meeting. Just for, if you just want me to confirm for anybody who is viewing that we had technical difficulties at 1 o'clock, so we adjourned the meeting and re-established a new link in order to broadcast the meeting live. Chair, if you want to begin.
Oh, the square's not gone right, is it? Right. Can I welcome everybody today to the Audit Committee, and a big welcome to Allan Brame, who's its first meeting. I'd also like to thank the people of Merseyside City Region for getting the R number right down. I will now move on to explain how the meeting will work. During the meeting, all microphones and cameras will be switched off, with the exception of myself and any presenting officer, other than directed by the meeting facilitator. Should anyone leave the meeting for any reason, the meeting will continue unless it is no longer quorate. Please ensure that any items relating to personal or private or confidential or exempt information are not visible through your cameras or screen sharing until the press and public have been excluded from the meeting. Please be advised that all proceedings of the meeting will be recorded and broadcast onto YouTube Live for members of the public to see. And please ensure that when you are not speaking, your microphone remains on mute and your camera is switched off. If you wish to speak at any point, please turn on your camera, raise your hand, or alternatively indicate via the chat function. The meeting facilitator will then unmute your microphone and invite you to speak at the appropriate time. You should then click to confirm that you wish to unmute your microphone and then state your question or comment. Please do not try to unmute yourself. The meeting facilitator will do this for you. There will be a slight delay and then you will be prompted to allow yourself to be unmuted. Please select the blue button that says unmute now to do so. When I request you all to approve or note an item, I will ask you to turn on your cameras and the meeting facilitator will unmute everyone. If you have any issues with this, it's your opportunity to raise them. Silence will be taken as approval. Can I confirm that the following members are all in attendance and that the members present can hear and be heard? I'll take that as a yes. We can now...
Sorry, we've got yourself, Councillor Linda Maloney, Councillor Lisa Preston, Councillor Jan Grace, Councillor Allan Brame, all in attendance and all can hear and see. We've also got independent person Anthony Boyle in attendance. We're just Councillor Edna Finneran is hoping to join us shortly. She's just having a few technical difficulties.
Thank you. We can now proceed to the agenda. There is no apologies for absence except for Councillor Finnegan, who is going to join us. Declarations of interest. Do we have any declaration of interest today from members? I'll take that as a no. Matters of urgency. There are no matters of urgency to be admitted to the agenda, and there are no exempt items requiring exclusion of the press or public. I'll move on to item 2, which is the minutes of the meeting held on the 24th of September. They're submitted for approval and a correct record and a signature by the chair. Is that agreed? I'll take the silence as a yes. We'll now go on to Grant Thornton's audit and findings for 2019 to 2020. And I'd like to invite Michael Green and Naomi Povey to talk on this report. Welcome, Michael.
Good afternoon, Chair, Afternoon, everyone else. Yeah, really pleased to be here today to present to you our audit findings report. Before I take you through the report, as I mentioned in the previous reporting session, I think it's only right to put on record our thanks to Ian and the finance team for their patience through what has been a very long and difficult audit process this year against the backdrop of COVID-19 and the new ways of working remotely, which is really appreciated by us in getting us to this position here today. I will take the report as having been read, but will make sure that I take you through some of the more important aspects of our findings and the work that we've undertaken. Happy to take questions at the end of the report. If I could start on page 11 of the pack. Our work is essentially complete. And we do anticipate issuing an unqualified opinion in the coming days in line with the 30th of November deadline. The opinion that you will receive will look slightly different to ones that you've had in the past, and that's because it does include an emphasis of matter paragraph. And that paragraph draws to attention the material uncertainty relating to valuation of authority land and buildings that the valuer has included in his report and is subsequently disclosed within the financial statements. The paragraph also refers to a similar material uncertainty reflective of the valuation of property assets in the accounts of the local government pension fund for Merseyside. A share of those assets is attributable to the authority, and therefore it's disclosed within your financial statements as well and our audit opinion. Just want to emphasise that emphasis and matter paragraph is not a qualification of the audit opinion. It simply draws attention to what we consider to be a significant disclosure in helping a reader to understand the financial statements. Also, the fact that the authority is not unique in having that emphasis of matter paragraph this year. It will be a feature of substantially all, if not all, local government bodies this year, and that's because of the impact that COVID-19 has had on valuation of property assets. The financial statements themselves have been prepared to a good standard again this year. Just pleased to report that we've only identified 2 misstatements that impact your primary statements. And one of those it was beyond the control of the authority and due to a post-balance sheet event related to the McLeod legal case. The impact of the adjustments that have been identified is a 5.9 million adjustment to the comprehensive income and expenditure statement, but just want to emphasise again that does not impact the financial performance of the authority for the year or the usable reserves of the authority. If I could take you on to page 12 of the pack, just want to reflect on one of the other areas of work that we deliver alongside the financial statements audit, and that's our work around value for money arrangements at the authority. As we previously reported in our audit plan, we identified a significant risk around financial sustainability. And we're very pleased to report that based on the procedures we've undertaken to respond to that risk, we can conclude that the authority has appropriate arrangements in place to address that risk. And I think it's also helpful to point out that the authority has responded very well in terms of the impact of COVID-19 on finances, and with no issues or concerns with regard to going concern. And as such, we will be issuing an unqualified opinion on value for money arrangements alongside our audit opinion. Also on page 4, page 12 of the pack, we confirm that we haven't exercised any of our statutory powers or duties this year, and that we will be certifying completion of the audit alongside issuing the audit opinion. Moving on to page 13, we confirm there that the audit work has been conducted to a materiality of 1.794 million, and that any errors identified above 89,000 would be reported within this report as presented to the committee. An update on the outstanding items that are noted on this page. Obviously, this was written a week or so ago. The key point to note here that we've now received the assurances from the auditor of Mersey Pension Fund. Received those late last night, and we've reviewed those, and there are no matters or items we need to bring to your attention. And those 3 remaining other items are those that we perform immediately in advance of giving the opinion, and therefore, as I said earlier, our work is essentially complete. The following pages set out the significant risks that we identified earlier in our audit plan, and the procedures and findings from the work that we've undertaken over the past months. Main findings relate to property, plant and equipment valuation, the material uncertainty that I've mentioned, and one adjustment in relation to the accounting treatment applied on valuation of the assets. That resulted in a £1.3 million adjustment, but as noted previously, no impact on usable reserves or the performance of the authority. On page 17, we go into a bit of detail on the work we've done to consider the pension fund liability. I did mention earlier on about a post-balance sheet event and the McLeod legal case. That refers to an age discrimination case that was heard where the judgment happened last year, and there was a significant adjustment in your accounts last year following that. In July this year, Treasury issued a consultation on what the proposed remedy to the legal judgment would be. The pension fund actuaries then notified management that the liability would be impacted as a result of that judgment, and therefore management requested an updated valuation. That identified that the liability was overstated by £4.5 million, and on the basis that it was such a material figure, and that it was the valuation was based on the best available data relevant to that estimate, management have adjusted the accounts to reduce your pension fund liability. Our technical guidance within the firm suggested that that should be treated as a non-adjusting post-balance sheet event, primarily on the basis that it's a consultation currently at the moment. There's no firm decision on what the actual remedy would be. But we've discussed that with management, and we're very happy with the decision they've taken and the rationale for making that adjustment, and therefore we're not identifying that as an error, and we concur with the financial accounting and treatment that has been applied. If I could skip on through to page 29 of our report. That confirms that we remain independent as your external auditor. We've performed no additional services on your behalf. Page 30 is our action plan based on findings of the work completed. The only one we've identified is in respect of accounting treatment applied to fixed asset revaluations. Management have accepted the response there, and we will follow that up as part of next year's audit. Page 31 sets out the audit adjustments that I've previously talked to you about, and also the sort of disclosure amendments on page 32. Page 33 confirms our proposed fee for the year, which is slightly higher than that previously proposed, and that's largely because of the additional work and procedures we've had to perform as a result of COVID-19, the changes to the pensions because of McLeod, etc., and just genuine additional time that it's taken to deliver the audit this year. Appendix D includes the draft audit opinion, which we'll be issuing, and Appendix E includes the management letter of representation for approval to be signed alongside the financial statements. That's all I proposed saying today, but happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Michael. Is there any questions or comments from members?
None have been indicated, Councillor Maloney.
Right, thank you. We'll take that as a no. The item is to be considered today, so is that agreed, members?
Agreed.
Take that as a yes. So we now move on to item 4 on the agenda, and it's the statements of the account for 2019-2020 and approval of the audit statement. Can I bring in Ian Cummings?
Thanks, Chair. Okay, the authority is required to prepare a set of financial statements in a format that is set out under the relevant accounting codes and standards. The statement of accounts attached to this report as Appendix A presents the required authority core financial statements for 2019-20, having regard to the various codes and regulations. The authority must approve the 2019-20 statement of accounts before the 30th of November 2020. The purpose of this report is to present the 2019-20 statement of accounts to this committee and request members approve the statement and sign it off for publication. Grant Thornton have issued an unqualified opinion on the statement of accounts, which is basically confirming the statement represents a true and fair view of the financial position of the authority and its income and expenditure for 2019-20, and that the statement has been prepared in accordance with the required code and regulations. Paragraph 12 to 15 on pages 45 to 49 provide members with some background to the 4 core financial statements and summarise the 2019-20 movements and explains any significant changes to the previous year's figures. Paragraph 14 outlines the balance sheet movements between 2018-19 and 2019-20, and in particular, the movements on the authority's assets and liabilities. The code and regulations require a number of notional accounting entries and adjustments that are significant in value to be included in the statement of accounts, such as a depreciation charge. They are notional in nature, so they do not form part of the costs that must be funded by the authority's approved general fund budget. The table on page 45 outlines how the 2019-20 neutral general fund outturn position, as reported to members of the P&R committee at the meeting on the 30th of July 2020, becomes a 4.535 million adverse variance under the statements of accounts code and regulations. However, as per paragraph 6 of the report, the reported outturn position for revenue, capital and reserve budgets have not changed to that reported at the P&R committee. Members are also asked to approve the letter of representation attached to the report as Appendix B, and this simply states that the Treasurer and Chair of the committee are not aware of anything that would alter the information contained in the statement of accounts. I'm happy to take any questions on the report, Chair.
Thank you for that. Ian, thank you. We'll go over to members. Have you any questions or comments on Ian's report? I'll take it then that that report is agreed. The recommendations is on page 43. Would you like me to read these out?
I'm happy, Chair, to take it as per the report. The only thing I would add now is that the recommendation 2A that says approve the unaudited statement should now actually read approve the audited statement, because audit is now being completed.
Right. Agree. Is everybody in agreement with that?
Agreed.
Agreed. We'll take that as a yes. That concludes the business of this committee today. I'd like to thank everybody for their attendance. And the next meeting of this committee is in February. Is that right, Ria?
It's the 11th of February.
11th of February.
Thanks everybody for your attendance, and we'll now close this meeting. Thank you.